You already know what time it is. It's your boy DJ Richie Skye back with some tea, interviews, recaps, and more. And be sure to check the links in the description of this video for trips, for books, one-on-one sessions, and more. Now let's get into the tea. Yo, what did I just watch? And why did this episode not come with a trigger warning? Okay. A trigger warning needed to be like for me, because it wasn't shown in a preview, nobody had mentioned it online. For me, this episode left me shook and concerned. Okay. So I want to acknowledge the people in the chat. Let us know where you are watching from. How you doing? What's going on? What's good? What's good? Let's get it. Let's get it. Yeah, y'all know we had to do it. It took me a minute, y'all, because I had to really process what it was that I just watched. And then I had to ask myself, okay, I don't want to overreact, but I know it couldn't have just been me that felt triggered. I just felt like, what? Listen, Cheyenne, I had to tell one of my good sisters, I was like, listen, before you watch this episode, I'm going to give you a warning. I don't know if this is something that you need to see. Mostly because in my spirit, something told me that she was going to be triggered. And I'm glad I said it because it was indeed wild. This was a lot. Listen, it's fine. I'm not going to be going live that long. I really just came to tell y'all how I felt about this bit of the episode. Yeah, there was a lot that happened. First of all, we're talking about Married to Medicine. We're talking about season 11, episode 12, Calm After the Storm. The argument at the Sandbar continues, forcing a couple to leave the trip. Phaedra also departs on a private jet, leaving the ladies shocked. The men try to make sense of the drama as the group spends their last night together. Let me just right off the rip say this. If I had to rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna have to give it. I have to give it an 8 because I can't give it a 9. I can't give it a 10 because I just felt like when I get to a point that I don't want to recap it because I'm triggered. That's when I feel like it almost makes me want to okay, let me just take a little break from this show. Let me just take a little break from this show because I shouldn't be feeling like this. Okay, I shouldn't be feeling like this. And I'm just going to go over a couple of things real quick. We'll touch a bit on the episode. I feel like for the most part, it after the whole situation is de-escalated. We've talked about Phaedra speaking in tongues. We've talked about Dr. Simone reacting to that. We have talked about Phaedra departing the show. We talked about what we feel like in terms of whether these are indeed mean girls, as Phaedra says, or not, or bees like these, as she likes to call them. And I'm honestly over the repetitive, we have got to fix the friend group. We have got to fix the friend group. We have got to fix the friend group from Dr. Simone. I get it. That is your role in the group. We got to fix the friend group. We got to fix the friend group. But the friend group is broken. It's been broke. It ain't gonna be fixed. So let's just call a spade at this point, because I'm tired and I don't have it in me today. Okay. We just gonna leave it right there. Okay. There's some mean girlery going on. Okay. Let's be real about it. There's some mean girlery going on. There's some mean girlery going on. I mean, it is what it is. I feel like Phaedra definitely should have left at that point. They're over there. I felt like they were coddling Apollo and Shireen. And this was what bothers me about that. Without Phaedra, there was no need for Apollo and Shireen. They didn't even welcome them to really stay for the rest of the trip. They was like, y'all just go ahead and go to Miami then. That's what makes zero sense to me. Is like, without Phaedra, there was no need for an Apollo or Shireen. The person that y'all was supposed to be trying to get to know was Phaedra. Instead, y'all are really trying to get to know Apollo and Shireen, but really not really, because y'all don't even want them to stay. So it's like, what? Much ado about nothing, because without Phaedra, there was nothing for them to do. Why didn't y'all invite them to stay? Y'all want to prove what type of couple they are, like, you know, how good of a couple they are and how good couples can coexist. Y'all should have had them stay. Yes, you invited them down. Have them stay with the group. Have them continue filming. Why were they not at the last scene? If it's got to be about more than just the moment, creating a moment. It's got to be more than just about that, because otherwise it feels like, oh, well, we just setting Phaedra up. We're going to bring Apollo down here to ruffle her feathers. That's what it feels like. Because the very least y'all could have done, have the people stay. Have them stay. Have them stay. Have them stay so they can get dressed up in their yellow too. Because otherwise, what's the point? What was it? What was the reason? Next. Okay. You know, for me, I just kind of feel like the rest of the episode was a bunch of BS, to be honest with you. Now, you know, they did show things, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they had the aftermath and everybody had to talk about, you know, what happened and why it happened and who's really at fault and woo. And I done told y'all all this, and King summed it up as well. Simone finally summed it up as well too. Quad and Dr. G have got some type of trauma that has never been resolved. And until they, as Dr. Mimi said, do the work for themselves, they are going to continue to re-traumatize each other and everybody in the group. Okay? Now that I've said that, that's out of my, I'm not going back there, because I've said it one too many times. Don't nobody believe it. It was finally said last night in the episode. Okay, we all on one accord there. Now let's get to Dr. G and Sweet Tea. For those of you guys who missed it, there's a scene where they're back at home and they are in the kitchen. And I need to go into some of the reactions from the cast, because that's really the big news right now. So if you guys missed it, I think she took it down, because when I saw her, when I went back to her page for this video, it wasn't there. But Quad had posted a clip of the scene in question. Okay. Now there was somebody had obviously edited together Sweet Tea saying this.
Around, I don't think it would have been a fight.
Hold on, let me go.
Quad probably was right about a few things about him. Like,
okay, so the first thing that she says is Quad was probably right about a few things about him, Dr. G. And so then it flips into a scene from last night where basically they get into it about Sweet Tea running to his aid. Now, I don't know what wife would sit there and not run up and try to see about her husband, but the way Dr. G is snapping on her is very like, I mean, what you gonna do? We talked a little bit about this, but we didn't get to see the extended scene. and he was calling her naive and stuff like that. And again, some of it is wordplay and some of it is his tone. It was so condescending. And then he decided that he had had enough, when honestly their conversation didn't even seem to require all that much attitude or discourse or discord. So I don't know if he was already just on one or not. But then she gets up to be honest with you, to be clear, I feel as though Sweet Tea was the emotionally intelligent person in that conversation. And let me make myself bigger when I say it, because I want it to be understood. I feel like Sweet Tea showed emotional intelligence in that conversation, much more so than the man who is supposed to be older than her had any capability of showing in that moment. I did not understand that. She is literally trying to talk him down in terms of where he is with his anger about her wanting to come to his aid. Like, that's crazy to me. Why would your wife, and I get it, you don't want to see her in danger. I get it. I get it. No man, no spouse, no significant other wants to see their spouse put themselves in harm's way to save them. Fine. Perfectly fine. I get it. But that's a conversation that can be had. You ain't got to call her naive for that, especially not with that tone. And then when she goes upstairs and she goes to, because he leaves and he's like, well, that's it. I'm not talking about it no more. He gets up and he walks off. Still talking that mess, gets upstairs. She goes into the room, closes the door, and she's like, hey, like you gotta, like, you can't, like, don't call me naive. Like, she's literally trying to also shush him. And he is very much given, look, this is your fault. This is your fault. Basically, it's given, look what you made me do to you. Like, that's what it felt like in that moment. And I was like, bro, like, what are you talking about? This is your fault. No, you got triggered. She was running to see about you. This is your trauma that she is wrapped up in. Sir, you need to have a lot more patience for somebody who is willing to deal with your trauma. Again, I said it before. You are bleeding, and now you are bleeding over everybody else involved, okay? So now you're upset with her for having a conversation that didn't even require all that much angst. Like, what was that for? Like, what was the reason for that? It made absolutely no sense to me. And I'm not trying to be up in nobody's marriage, and I'm not trying to tell people how to argue. I ain't trying to tell people how to handle their relationships. But to me, on camera, that just came across as very cringy to me, okay? And I know these are real moments that some people are having on this show. And for that, I say, okay, I get it. It's a real moment. But that real moment looks real disturbing. And I got to admit that. And whether or not they agree with that or not, whether or not Sweet Tea, Dr. G agrees with that, I can only tell you how the scene made me feel, okay? I don't know what is going on. I don't know anything. All I know is how it made me feel. And if I felt triggered, I can't even imagine what a lot of the audience is feeling, especially people who have been in situations that have escalated to the way it sounded like it was escalating behind that door. To say you're gonna, like, to even imply you're gonna get me hyped up and you're not gonna want to see what happens, like, all of that is like, who's talking like that? Like, why does an argument with your spouse even need to get to that place where she gotta tell you, shh, stop. Like, bro, she's trying to protect you at this point. So now you berating her, now you calling her names. Now you are telling her it's her fault for your trauma that now she's involved in, and now she is trying to protect you. So anyway, Quad posted this and said, watching tonight's episode was by far triggering. God knows I do not miss those days, regardless of whatever Letitia has said about me to the public. My heart honestly goes out to her. It is abundantly clear nothing has changed with his behavior, only the woman. The cycle continues. Thank you, King, for understanding my past and making me feel safe. Now, when I looked at the comments, a lot of people were feeling like, well, this was Quad's vindication. Some people felt in the comments like she shouldn't have posted that. I don't really know, to be honest with you. I don't really have a take on it yet. I ain't really sat down with what she might have, what her intentions were. All I know is that it's not up there no more. So I don't know. I really can't say. I want to move on to some other reactions to this because I think that they're important before I get off of this live, because I can't really sit in this space for too long, to be very honest with you. I can't. This is not the type of entertainment that I want to see. I've been very vocal about that for the past year, about I don't want to see people's trauma as entertainment. And I understand that there's an element of this that is, documenting real life. But I mean, it's got to be real life. But like, it's also like, if you're going to go there, we need to know beforehand that this about to go there. Okay. Now, some other comments that the people captured. So shout out to the Bravo Shade Room. This is basically, Quad's sentiments. Again, Dr. Heavenly says T was not to blame. She did nothing wrong. Then the scene says, Dr. Heavenly says, the scene hurt my heart. # married to med. Good night. Now, the real T, sweet T, at some point, I'm assuming this was a screenshot that says, Miss Natural, that man is not abusive. People don't know what real relationships are. And if you don't like it, kick rocks. My relationship is what it is. Now, this is my statement. And again, this is why I say I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And I'm not going to assume to know. I'm not going to put anything on anybody at this point. I'm only going to react to what I see on the screen. What I saw on the screen, I ain't like it. What I saw on the screen made me uncomfortable. What I saw on the screen felt triggering to me. And what I saw on the screen, I know felt triggering for a lot of other people, okay? Because we've all been in situations or seen situations or heard of situations where someone is speaking to someone in that way and the situation escalates and it sounded very commonplace. It did. It didn't sound like this is new. No, it sounded commonplace. So to me, I feel like that's problematic, man. Like, you need to really, he needs to check that behavior at the door, okay? And sweet Tea, I'm not saying whether you should stay or you should go or any type of situation. I would never proclaim to try to tell somebody what they should do in their marriage. All I know is that level of communication, that needs to be talked about, okay? That needs to be talked about with someone, in my opinion. And I am not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I am not a psychiatrist. I am not a counselor. I don't have any of those degrees. But what I can tell you is the degree to which I was disappointed, disgusted, and disturbed. That's it. And I feel like, I don't even, and I get it. Relationships do get rough. They do get rocky. People do come out of pocket and say things that they don't mean. And we talked about that last night as well, too, right? We talked about those types of things. But it's just like when we see it and that closed door conversation, something about it it didn't sit well with me. And I know it didn't sit well with the audience. I know it didn't. Personally, I don't know if doing the show is the best for them at this point. And I don't want to say that, but I do feel like I think he needs to work on his communication. That's where I'm at with it. I think he needs to work on his communication. I think he needs to work on his level of respect for her. And there's also got to be a place where you have made a decision as a couple that you are just not going to go. There's got to be that place. It's got to be that I am not going here. And that level of talk, like it's your fault. You look, you did this. What? She wouldn't even be in this situation if it wasn't for you. unable to control your reactions. So now she has to face the consequences for what you have failed to get over. And that's just the truth. From my eyes, from my perspective. Okay, that's my opinion. And so as I stated on my thumbnail, I am concerned. I am. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel good. I didn't see it coming. I didn't know it was coming. I didn't know that conversation was gonna go that far left. And regardless, okay, you know, my heart went out to Sweet Tea watching that. Definitely, 1000%. I thought that Dr. G was wrong. Maybe he's. I mean, I'm sure they're still together, so I'm sure he's already apologized for it. I really don't know. I can't see into the future. Well, I can't see into the past, present, future, whatever it is at this point in time. But he needs to definitely apologize again and again and again for that one. Okay, again and again and again and again and again and again and again, because that was too much disrespect. That was too much. That was too much. And to be honest with you, I feel like to be at his age, and not that age plays a factor, but I'm equating age with wisdom. And if you are expecting to be the leader and you want her to follow your lead, then you got to know how to lead with care. Because he talked about that as he was going in on her. And just the way she was, even in that moment, trying to protect him. She is a real one. And I know some of y'all don't like her, but that was some real stuff that she was trying to do for him. And he is his own worst enemy at this point. For me, in my opinion, based on what I see in the episode. Because that's all we got to go on. That's all I got to go on. So, you know, people are reacting to it, obviously. I don't know what else to say. That's all I really got for y'all. That's my feelings. Those are my frustrations. I could go point by point with other little cues in the episode, but I do not feel like after expressing my feelings about that major part of it and what we were left with, there's really not much else that I can say. And I'm just gonna leave it at that, to be honest with you. That's really it. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Mad love to Sweet Tea. Dr. G, you need to definitely be on your hands and knees apologizing for that. That right there, that no. That's not cool. Anyway, that's all I got for y'all. Make sure y'all stay safe out there. Love y'all so much. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in. That's it. I got no more to give on that one.